Hello and welcome to Story Dev. My name is Luke, also known as Tianery. This is week 2 of our programming sessions for Shadowlight, and since the last week I've implemented, well, let's just show you. I think that's probably easier just to show you. So 3, 2, 1 and click. Yep, that's right. We've got graphics in this game. And this is the meditation session with graphics. And I'm actually going to show you exactly how this meditation session works. What is going on? Why is nothing happening? Huh. This has never happened before. I mean, that's weird, right? Let me try that again. Hello and welcome to Story Dev. Okay, whatever. Meditation is random preview. So apparently, if you leave it for too long, it causes problems. But here we are. We've actually got things going on the screen, and as you can see, we're able to do stuff. So at the bottom of the screen, as you can see there, we've got some crystals actually not really doing things. It's still increasing our positive emotions and removing the negative emotions as they descend down the lanes on the screen. And as you can also see, there's kind of like a defense thing going on. And so there's 2 different modes as you play through here. And basically, the way I'm switching between those modes is I'm pressing tab. Oops. That's probably not a good idea. And of course, experience gained. Let's do another one. So as we progress through this game, each meditation session, I'm not going to play any music because it would just be too loud, but basically the aim of the game is to make sure that you don't get unstable and completely distorted. That's this bit at the top here. And I can't actually do anything with this intuition, because none of my crystals can negate it. That was probably a bad idea. Defend quickly. So I press tab to switch between the 2 modes, active and defense. And sometimes I'm not quick enough. I'm also recording, so it's, as you can see, when you activate the defense mode, the cooldown of the crystal being used is significantly less than it would be normally. It's 3-second cooldown if you use its active mode, and it is a 1.5-second cooldown if you use its defensive mode. And also, if you probably have noticed, over to the side here we've got our positive emotions on one side of the screen and our negative emotions on the other side of the screen. And when we either remove negative emotion, we're basically preventing it from causing any of this stuff over here to go up in value. And we want to make sure that we enhance the positive emotions, remove the negative emotions before they have any serious effect. And that is that, basically. And of course, if you've got a lot of negative emotions on the side with potential problems, then if those values go up quite significantly, then we can end up going unstable. Now, I might actually demonstrate how that works in the next one. So let's have a look here. So if I just let deception just take us over, so I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to sit back, relax, watch me go unstable, just to demonstrate exactly how that works. Here we are. I've actually got a deception emotion descending now. In fact, we've got two. So we go one there. Oh. At least that's what's supposed to happen. That value is not going up. It was working. I did adjust some calculations in the background, so maybe that's a good idea to fix that. Probably. That's probably a good idea. So what is going on? What is going on here? So I added this function, which seemed to be a good idea at the time. Obviously, that's causing problems. But then that's only affecting positive emotions. It's not affecting negative emotions. So what is actually going on here? That is a good idea to figure that out. Okay. So it mostly works, as you can see. It obviously doesn't all work, but that definitely needs fixing. So let's have a look. Oops, wasn't meant to do that. There is music in this game, by the way. Just obviously not being used properly at the moment. Of course, this is a programming session. I'm not actually demonstrating anything good. Oh. What? That breakpoint is not being hit. It's not. What is going on? What is going on? What is going on? I'm going to set a breakpoint here instead. Unless the breakpoint was deactivated. Sometimes it does that. It's really annoying. That's still active. That breakpoint's still active now, so let's do this test again. I should probably implement fast forwarding so you don't have to wait around for too long. But as you can see, the game mode is shaping up. There's more graphics here. Obviously, it's clearly not finished yet. But in this programming session, what I was thinking of doing was actually demonstrating the expanding on the database to actually add some interesting effects so the crystals are actually doing stuff instead of just statically increasing or decreasing energy against positive or negative emotions, because that's literally all it's doing at the moment. Okay, is the breakpoint going to be hit? I would have thought it would. No. What is going on? What? What is going on? And that's if the defending lane is greater than 0. Ah, damn it. No, what am I doing? No. It's only going to affect this, but then, ah. That's with the... okay. I see the problem now. So, forget this check. This check, obviously... I don't know why this check was there, but that's clearly causing problems. So, negate amount. We'll do that. Should, in theory, work now. That will affect any emotion, so... That's assuming that our emotion type then again, was that check necessary? I think it might have been necessary. I'm obviously just not... It should be this check, right? We also want to enhance any positive emotions as well. So if the positive, if it's a positive emotion, so maybe what I should be doing here. I mean, I say this is negate amount. That's probably not the correct thing to say. Right? So depending on the type, we basically just want to say, okay. I did not know I copied that. So if our meditation type is in fact a negative emotion, then just do that, right? Make the amount negative rather than positive. I think. No, that's not right. That doesn't matter. Of course it doesn't. That does not actually matter because it's increasing regardless. I was thinking that was energy, but it isn't. Okay. That should just work, right? So let's have a look. I spent almost 15 minutes just ranting on about why something isn't working when it should be really simple. Okay, this is a good test. Right, yeah, deception is now going up. So as you can see, if I enhance this a bit, try and get a bit stable, right? So I'm shaky at the moment, and eventually will become a bit more stable. Not sure if mathematically speaking this is correct, but I think it's because our intuition is technically, but yeah, you get the idea. It's because I think the reason why that's happening is because up here, the way that we're calculating it, where is it? Here. So we're calculating ratios, love to hate, happy to anger, intuition to deception. So intuition to deception is being affected, right? That's increasing our meditation stability by a certain amount, and it's constantly unstable because this is the ratio that we're looking at. To be honest, you know what, before we continue, there's definitely a better way of doing this. So what I'm going to do is say positive totals. So instead of doing this, I'm going to say positive totals is equal to 0, positive totals plus equals that. Oops. positive totals like that. This is probably the better way to do it, ultimately, instead of doing it the other way. Doesn't really make much sense to do it the other way. And same for this one. And we'll have negative totals, which again is going to be 0. We'll have this here, like this. Anger. Negative totals, like this. And deception. And seduction. Like that. So, literally, I'm just going to get rid of this. And all we're doing now is just basically doing a positive negative ratio. The positive negative ratio, right? The math dot safe 0 numerator. So our numerator is basically our positive emotions, or positive totals, divided by our negative totals. So if our negative totals is 0, then we'll get a 0 value back, I believe. That's how it works. I can't actually remember now. Can't actually remember. Yes, if divisor is not equal to 0, then we do the division. Otherwise, we just return whatever the result was, which is n. Now n is 0, so we just get back to 0, yeah. So if we just get back to 0, the positive negative ratio is equal to 0, then our meditation stability is equal to 0, right? However, if it isn't, we shall say fact yeah, in fact, you know what? It just makes more sense to do this. Meditation stability. Just do that. Just do that. Get rid of all that. And then we want to be floats, don't we? I'll do. Right. So we calculate our meditation stability, so that should make more sense now. So when we run this and actually play it, I'm going to deliberately cause problems, and then we'll try to get a bit better, right? So I'm literally just not going to do anything. I'm just going to let that go up. And okay. We are distorting all the time. Why is that? Because if we're distorting already, then that's going to. I'd be curious what the. Oh. I'd be curious. See, the totals. Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look here. So what's going on? We have positive totals, right? So 1, 4.2, 5.7, 6.7, and then we've got a negative totals 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, right? And then we've got 6.7. That needs to be the other way round, actually. That needs to be the other way round. That's why that didn't look like it was working. That would make more sense. And then we actually get a ratio that makes more sense. And that's assuming also, because this negative totals is 0, kind of want to make sure actually that our numerator also isn't 0, so and you can't divide by 0. Can the numerator be 0? I don't. Can it be? Maybe it can. I guess so. You know, I got a B in maths in my GCSEs, and now I can't even remember whether you can divide 0 by 1. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Yes, you can. I'm pretty sure you can. It's the other way round that you can't. Just gives back an incorrect value. So this should be fine now. So yeah, we're just going to let that go. That makes more sense. So we're shaky now. We're going to let it go halfway. Why not? I'm just going to let that go. Disrupting, so as you can see, is going up, and we can increase our stability by enhancing this crystal. We can't enhance intuition because none of our crystals can do that. But yeah, there we go. You get the idea, right? If we were distorting, then we would be close. It would be close to game over, pretty much. So that is basically how that works. So let's actually go into yeah, let's go into here. I'm going to go to databases, crystals. So down here we've got effect flags and we've got passive effect. So what we've got is this ability to deteriorate certain frequencies passively as they descend down the screen. Now this of course hasn't actually been implemented, but we've got a I can't pronounce it. What is wrong with me? Deteriorate by a certain amount. So this is technically percentage value going up to 100%. And so, you know, you could say, okay, it will deteriorate by 5% every, say, 0.5 seconds or maybe 1 second, something like that. And we're just going to affect, say, deception, because that's what we're currently affecting at the moment. And we haven't actually implemented that yet. So what I was thinking was, if we go out of here, if we go over to our crystals, we have these values here. So we've got effect flag deteriorate, additional enhance, additional negate, initial enhance, requires cooldown, and other such things, right? So basically, what we've got here is, for every effect that we've got, so our passive effect, our defending effect, and our active effects, if you saw in a previous video, basically what we've got is basically a description to say this crystal does this, but it's not doing it at the moment. And this is what this is for. And so when we apply our effect flags, which is basically adjusting the behavior of each crystal, then we actually get the results that we actually want based on the description that we've given. So in this case, we've got crystal effect flags. Let's implement deteriorate. Let's do that. So in a separate function, so we'll do passive because that'll be fairly easy to implement. Let's go down here. We don't need that anymore. Get rid of that. Thank you. Okay, so before I'm going to say meditation, perform passive simulations, something like that. And here I'm also going to have meditation, passive, and an index. Passive. Actually, no, that'll do. That will do. So if you saw in our effect flags, basically what we saw was the fact that we had 0.1, 0.2 for our frequency. So we can basically have an animation that ticks every 0.1 seconds, right? I'm going to have another function here to say meditation init. What should we call it? Init effects. Or init crystal effects, really. So meditation, passive, anim, index. It's our animate. Create tick. And we've got our crystals, right? So we've got our crystals. So each for ID in meditation crystals. And basically, I'm just going to get a crystal from our crystal collection. Find ID, and this is probably it's probably quite slow, but we'll do it this way anyway. So we've got our passive flags here, right? And we're doing this, like I say, we've got, so if we go back here, in fact, I'll open it up over here. So under data crystal, if we take a look at this, we've got our what is wrong with me? Deteriorate. I have trouble pronouncing that word clearly. So any effects that have kind of like a condition, so this is a conditional, right? Requires cooldown, requires off cooldown. So we want to make sure that we check that. So we'll say requires cooldown, right? And what I'll do is I'll say crystal passive flags, and our effect flag requires cooldown. And we'll say also requires off cooldown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say we can't have one or the other. It has to be only one of them. So we'll have passive flags. So I'm going to actually do an assert here. So I'm going to say requires cooldown and requires off cooldown. So we can't have both true at the same time. So if they're both true, then that's wrong. Throw there. Okay. Next, what we'll do is for the deteriorate effect, because obviously this is a passive simulation effect, what I'm going to do, so I'm going to say, okay, if animate tick, got our meditation passive and an index here, so every 0.1 seconds, we've got this effect flag, so we've got deteriorate, I am terrible at this, that word that I can't say, deteriorate. Which we will also check for. Otherwise, there's just no point in doing it, right? Passive flags. If has to deteriorate. We're going to, so we've got our meditation. What have we got? We've got our effect frequency, which is under our crystal.effect, the passive effect flag data, and in here we've got frequency here, so we'll do that. This is where the value is in that array. We also need to get our affected emotions, so we'll do that. Affected emotions. And finally, our amount. And so first things first, what we need to do is make sure that we actually record our crystals. So crystal passive effect times or free or anim values, something like that. So I'll do that, and we'll say for this we'll have because we've got technically our index. I should probably make that I in 0 dot dot dot. So that's our ID. But we also want to use the index value so that we've got this. And here I'm just going to say plus equals 0.1 like this, because that's what we're ticking here. And so here, all I want to do is basically check to see if this value is greater than or equal to our effect frequency, and then we'll actually make that effect happen. So what we'll do is that's another thing too. I actually need to make sure I do crystal passive effect, and that is going to be equal to our meditation crystals dot length, and we're just going to make that 0.0 for now. So if we've got this, what I'm going to do is say, okay, this is now equal to 0, right? And we want to basically iterate over all of the currently active emotions that are on the screen, right? So if I've also got emotion type, so we've got emotion scrolling type, we want to do lanes, so we need our lanes. So that'll be our lane value, and then we also need, actually we can't do that, lane, and we also need to iterate. This is the problem with multi-dimensional arrays. It forces you into this form of looping, which is actually slower than using one-dimensional arrays. I should probably change that, but I'll think about that later. But anyway, so we've got this, so we've got each of our lanes, and then it's however many that is active. Motions in lane. I'll do that. I'll just do that for now. And then en 0 dot 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 motions in lane. And then we'll say, okay, we'll get our type, which is this and then this, right? And basically what I want to do is make sure that our affected emotions, that's actually a float, isn't it? Need to make sure that's actually an integer, because otherwise that's not going to work. Like that. Basically what I need is our emotion flags. So just for the time being, I'm just going to have a deception here. Not equal to deception. And our type is equal to emotion deception. Then in our emotions, actually it's energy, isn't it? Energy, emotion scrolling energy, which is the same thing here. Basically, what I'm just going to do is say minus equals amount here. So I'm just going to test the deception just to make sure it actually works. Lane, that needs to be lane, not I. Don't do that. Okay. So we need to initialize this so that it actually works, and then perform a passive simulations, which we're literally just going to call every frame. And in fact, what I'm going to do is do this anim tick outside of here. No, right, like that. I believe that's right, isn't it? And get rid of that. We will do this instead. So we'll do it like this. I think that would be a bit more efficient. Let's see. Okay. So we will initialize and then we'll actually perform our passive simulations as well. So let's go back up to init meditation. Do this. Init crystal effects. In fact, I can't do it here because I need to make sure everything's set up before that point. And that would be here. So all I'm going to do for now is just make sure that I'll do it right at the bottom. Why not? Right at the very bottom, just before we set our view. And then in our render game, we've got our perform simulations here. So I'm going to say meditation, perform passive simulations. So let's go ahead and test that. Ah, crap, I forgot to commit the last changes before I started the stream. Never mind. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to adjust Amethyst, and I'm going to say, okay, this is going to deteriorate, and it's going to deteriorate Deception at a frequency of, say, 0.5 seconds, and we will affect that by percentage of... Oh, wait. The amount is not, in fact, being taken into account. I forgot about that. So this amount is actually full value. So we actually need to make sure that we divide that by 100. Otherwise, that's not going to be good. Right. So let's try that again. Amethyst. The T. So every 0.5 seconds we're going to affect Deception. Right. Yes, I know that's a bit off. I'm aware of that. But we've adjusted that, so let's have a look. Random preview. That is very clearly not working. Well, it is, but it's affected too much, and also that is every 0.1 second, as you can see. What is going on? Effect frequency. So we do plus equals 0.1 here. We've got our effect frequency, which is 5, right? Okay, I'm going to... Something going on there. Not entirely sure what. Please just stop that. Right. So we'll go back into our database. We'll adjust that. I'll probably actually save, just to be sure. So we don't have to keep going in here and changing this. So at a frequency of 0.5, our deteriorate amount is going to be 5, or 5%. Affects Deception. Save. And in here, random preview. Effect frequency is 0.5. Okay. So what's this value? What is that value? I would like to know. 0.1. That makes sense. Okay. Oh. Oh wait, hold on. No, that's on a per crystal basis, isn't it? So that should be fine. So we run, then we continue. We've got 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. And then we go into here. Reset that. Nothing's happening in the game at the moment. I think, okay, just continue. So why is this constantly happening? It's not given. That's clearly not 0.5 seconds, right? That is clearly not 0.5 seconds. What I'm curious about. You see, that's every 0.1 second. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there. And also, what is going on? Yeah, you see, I don't understand this. I really don't. It's not making any sense to me. Why that's not working. Okay, I'm gonna do something that is going to hopefully make things a bit easier. So I've got this debugger class here, or it was working at some point anyway. So yeah, I've got this debugger class here, which I am going to say, oh no, what am I doing? Debugger watch variable. Whether this actually works with arrays, I have no idea, but I'm going to watch that variable. What's that? Oh. back at the watch variable. Just a simple thing to basically see what the hell is going on. In the output. So I'm just going to double check the database, make sure it has definitely loaded correctly. Oh, I thought so. Yeah, we've got all of this. This is all good. That's good. And if we go meditations, random preview. Shall we... Yeah, this is all being calculated correctly. Let's go 0.1234, 1234, 1234 as the first item. That's time -4, which is odd. So that's causing problems. And what I'm curious about is maybe okay, I'm gonna do this out here. And in fact, if, okay, no. If not has deteriorate, I am literally just going to reset it regardless. To 0.0. Don't know if that's actually going to affect anything, but as you can see, our deterioration obviously is affecting the energy levels, but it's not actually caught. If it were to go down to say, and also I'm actually going to increase the frequency just to see if the frequency is in fact changing and the frequency I want it to. So if we go up here, here we've got our, that's a projectile type, that's if we projectile something. I think what we need to do any of our emotion energies, okay. I'm going to get rid of this because this behavior isn't correct. I'm going to get rid of this as well. So instead of doing this in this context, we're not going to care what the projectiles are doing. I don't care about the projectiles. What I'm going to do is have a look at our emotions. Should we do it in here? Because we've got our energy value here. Yeah, I think here should be fine. So we'll say if our type is greater than or equal to emotion that, and type is less than this. We don't have a death here yet. So let's have a look. Emotions. No, hold on. I'm gonna do say our emotion energies if or let's do it here. And energy is equal to 1, and we'll do this. That is annoying. Don't do that. And we'll say I. And the same for our other types. So less than or equal to cast emotion seduction, right? Int. Or type is equal to. I have to cast these because they're technically considered an enum, so you have to cast them to an int every time. God, Visual Studio, why? Stop doing this to me. And energy. I want to add a parentheses, but it won't let me. But once again, we're just going to do the same thing here. So instead of relying on our projectiles to actually remove anything from the screen, we're actually going to say, okay, regardless of whether our projectile has hit an emotion or not, all we're going to do is just check to see if the energy of a certain emotion reaches 1 or 0 and remove it from the equation, right? Okay. Random preview. Let's go. So that's still working, as you can see. That's being affected. And, oh. What? Ah, come on. Less than or equal to 0, right? That probably makes more sense. And we remove that emotion if it's removed. I think that frequency is a bit too high or low, depending on your perspective. So let's have a look here. Still being removed. And hopefully a deception will appear and start to deteriorating. Come on. Bloody random things. There we go. And it's gone. So yeah, that's all good. Next thing I want to do is actually change the frequency to actually see if it's actually changing properly. Cold coffee. Lovely. Well, database crystals. Amethyst. So I'm going to change this frequency. We're going to say, let's say 1.5 seconds. We'll keep that amount the same, and I'll save that. And then random preview. Let's have a look. Hopefully it will do something good. Deception, where are you? There we go. Yeah, so our frequency is technically increasing. But that's still that's not 1.5 seconds. That does not look like 1.5 seconds to me. Is our animation bonked or something? That can't be right. That cannot be right. It kind of makes me think that this animate tick thing is kind of bonked, but it isn't. I know that. But that was not 1.5 seconds. That was not 1.5 seconds. Definitely wasn't. What is going on? So we have all of this, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 7, and I don't like it when it does that. It is so weird. It's very clearly bonked stuff. But no point. You see, I'm not entirely sure what's going on. It's almost as if it's kind of like in ultra speed mode. Whatever that is. But that is a little weird. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it like that for now. I mean, obviously it is a bit of an issue. I will just, that name problem no longer exists as far as I'm aware. So, name problems. Meditation, perform passive simulations, does not appear to be allowing for a delay of 1.5 seconds. In fact, it doesn't appear like it is. This should be investigated. Okay. For now, I mean, obviously it is working, as you can see, but obviously that's not technically the real result, but for now we're going to keep it like that. That seems fine. So what I'm actually going to do here is, if we require our crystal to be off cooldown, then what I'm going to do, so I'm going to get rid of that now. What I'm going to do is say is on cooldown, is off cooldown. In fact, I don't need to do that. I just need to do this. So we'll say if our meditation crystal cooldown followed by our index for our crystal, if it's greater than 0.01, then it's on cooldown, right? Then we'll say if requires cooldown and is on cooldown, then we'll do that. Otherwise, if requires off cooldown and not is on cooldown, then we'll do the same thing, right? I'm also going to have perform delay effect, because that's what it is, and then we'll just say perform delay effects. Perform delay effects is equal to true here, and also perform delay effects is equal to true here, and perform delay effects. Basically, what we want to do is make sure that if we are either on cooldown or off cooldown, and we are requiring either one of these, we only want to increment that animate value if both of these things are true. Because otherwise, what will happen is this value will continue to increment regardless of this status. And if there is, say, a perform delay effect while that's going on, then we might never actually cause an effect on any emotion that's active on the screen due to, say, obviously the time period going past, right? That makes sense. So if we were to test that, let's go into our database, crystals. So this time, oh wait, I don't actually have it, do I? I need to actually add that option. Might be a good idea. Yeah, so if I can't quite see that from here. If I where is it? It's not far from here, actually. Excuse me. Let's go up here somewhere. Where is it? Here it is. This stuff. This stuff. I think the indentation here is kind of bonked as well, but I'll figure that out later. So let's do our is off cooldown. I'll do that first. Effect flag. Requires off cooldown. Not the 0. So I'll basically just copy this. Requires off cooldown. No. I'll do requires on cooldown. Actually. So I'll call this requires off cooldown. Do this. And that's literally that for now. So I'll do that. Go into our database. Search. Amethyst. Passive effect. So we'll say here requires cooldown, right? I'll save that. I'll get rid of that, don't need that. So we'll do random preview. So hopefully nothing will actually happen when animation comes down. Right. Where's our deceptions? Come on. Come on. Deception time. Pseudo randomness is not necessarily the best thing in the world. Oh, come on. Give me a deception. Well, not that time. We'll try it again. There we go. So now it's off cooldown. And now it stops. So as you can see, that's now working, which is quite cool. So it just makes things a bit more interesting that we use literally just by using amethyst. I can use it here, and of course it just, you know, works. Right. So that's cool. That is pretty good. And basically that's the way that's going to work. Obviously, this is just for passive effects. Obviously, we have to make sure that works for active effects and defending effects. Hopefully by next weekend, all of the different types of effects that are required between all of the crystals that I expect to have an effect for will actually have an effect, right? So deteriorate, I mean, some of these don't make sense in certain contexts. So this effect flag deteriorate, that only really works for passives, and this is why I wanted to perform it here, right? Additional enhance and negate. So the idea behind these two flags is if you were to fire a projectile in active as an active effect from your crystal, then it will additionally enhance or additionally negate certain emotions. Initial enhance, again, that's really more of a passive thing. These two are these two would work in defense and offense. Requires cooldown, that's basically just a condition. Minus emotion. Okay, so I'm probably wondering why I have two of these. So the difference between these two is minus emotion actually refers to the emotion values to the size of the screen, whereas this refers to the actual energy of the emotions as they're scrolling down. So that's the difference between those two. Random negative and random positive, you're probably wondering what the hell that is. So there's one crystal that I've designed in which once that crystal reaches the bottom, there will be a random negative crystal that will be chosen to not be affected by death. So if death reaches the bottom, what normally happens is if death reaches the bottom of a lane and it's completely undefended, then all negative emotions increase by 1. If the random negative effect flag is used either passively or when a crystal is being used on defense, then a random negative emotion or a negative emotion would be chosen at random to not be affected by death, right? So that's the idea behind that, and the same with positive as well. So you can imagine how complicated it can get, and obviously my camera's looking very, very dark. Not the camera, I mean the background. Where I am, but yeah, that is basically how that works. So I'm going to go away and implement all of these different things throughout passives and defending simulations and other such things. So by next weekend, we should actually have something on screen that resembles the start of a meditation. And hopefully, also by next weekend, I'll have a basic map also being rendered on screen with a rectangle moving around, maybe. That should be fine. Yeah. Sounds good. Okay. So, I know what I'm doing for the rest of the week now. And, yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And I will see you next time.